folks. How are you? So that was a little jam on some deep house in the key of D flat major. So today's topic is I wrote a blog called How and Why, or Why and How and Why and How to Practice Scales. Why would you want to practice scales? How do you practice scales? And it really depends what it is that you want to get out of the scales. So I'm just going to flip over to the blog. Here it is here. And so for the why, okay, so just in no particular order: improv and composition possibilities, technique development on both of your hands, fretboard awareness, rhythmic time and feel, ear training, like hearing tone, color, and intervals, harmony, meaning the chords and understanding the chords. A bit of, at least for me, maybe I'm just a nerd, but there's something very soothing about doing things repetitively, just mainly to work on my motor skills when I'm playing. But if I'm doing something passive, like watching, a game or a movie, sometimes I like to have my guitar in my hand and just kind of move the fingers around. Or if it's been a long day, come home and just walk around with the guitar a little bit. Helps me unwind. And also brain speed. As you get older, your brain doesn't work as quickly. And I need to review things. It's, even though I've spent hundreds and thousands of hours on this stuff, I have to come back and keep it fresh. So as far as what I'm going to focus on today, I'm going to focus on this one, the fretboard awareness. And bear in mind, all of this really feeds into improv and composition possibilities. As far as, the real payoff for learning scales, yes, you can use them for technique and shredding and all that. But really, they are tools to make melody, either whether you're composing or improvise or songwriting. So you got to start somewhere. Like, you can't sort of just willy-nilly go take on everything all at once. So as far as guitar players are concerned, I'm going to flip over to, yep, there we go. Okay, the good old circle of fifths. So I'm willing to bet that some of you, if you've improvised, you're probably pretty good with the key of C, the key of G, key of D. And then it gets a little, a little messy over here. At least for me, when I had to start playing with saxophone players, I had to learn these keys, like key of F, key of B flat, key of E flat, key of A flat. The main reason is because for an alto sax player, like if we're doing the key of, say, B flat, that's the key of G for them. Similarly, if we're playing the key of E flat for a tenor player, that's the key of F. So I really learned a whole lot about the fretboard when I had to start thinking in these keys. And that really is an example of practicing for a particular purpose, and even more specifically, a specific song. So try to create tasks that force you to have to learn some of these keys. You can even take some of the keys or some of the songs that you have already played and work them in different keys. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to come back here and just give you a brief primer on how I work on scales specifically. So I'm going to also go back here for 1 second. And here's the fretboard awareness part. So as far as how you can practice scales, okay, so vertically on one string, I'll show you that in a second. Horizontally, that means across the neck, 1 octave, or on 3 adjacent strings, in any position starting with any finger. 2 octaves across 6 strings in position starting with any finger. Diagonal, 1 octave with any 2 adjacent strings, or 3 octaves linking any 3 1-octave shapes together. That's a lot of stuff. Really, all of this is designed to get you familiar with the guitar going this way, and diagonally. So like going across, but up, or vice versa. Okay. So to make this easy, I'm going to start in the key of C because it's just way easier to demonstrate this. So if I do a C major scale starting on string 6 with my index finger, be nice to have some sound. There we go. Okay, so the key of C, 1 octave, starting with the index finger. Now I'll start it with the second finger. Now we'll start with the third finger. This gets a little tricky. Then the fourth finger. Okay, then I could start the C scale from the second degree. So I'm starting on D. This is D. Starting with the second finger. Starting with the third finger. Fourth finger. I'll do a couple more, starting on the third note of the C scale. That's the note E. Second finger. Third finger. Fourth finger. I had to think about that. So I would complete all of those, like all degrees of the C scale, and then I'd move it to the fifth string and do the same thing. So C, first finger. I'm going to run out of frets there. I'm going to go up here. Second. Third finger. Fourth finger. Okay, and then I would start on the fourth string and the third string, etc. Now, there's a lot of patterns, so really I'm not trying to memorize these patterns. That's really not what I'm intending to do. There's so many patterns, it's almost impossible to memorize them all. I'm trying to see the notes. And I say that because if a song is diatonic and it's in the same key, then you can get away with using patterns. I'm not against patterns. They work really well. But I found, at least for myself, when I play in songs or play over songs, play over chord changes that move in different keys, patterns never really were that useful because I want to target certain notes at certain times. And if you're always thinking about notes as far as a pattern is concerned, it's sometimes random that you're going to hit those specific notes. Like maybe you want the third, or you want the sharp 11, or you want the 13, or a flat 13, or something like that. So I need to have a little bit more resolution. Like playing using patterns is a very low resolution way of looking at the guitar neck. If a song is modulating all over the place, and sometimes even for like one bar, or it's like a tonal shift, it's really hard to navigate those things with just patterns. And sometimes if you have a pattern, you're almost tempted to use all of the notes rather than try to think melodically. So let's move on to a few other ways you can do this. Now, the one string method, okay, that's maybe far and away one of the most effective ways of learning the entire neck. And what I mean by that is pick a key, start on one string, play it as low as you can. So in the key of C, I'd be starting on E. And say the notes if you can. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E. One other string. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. And so on. Do all of them. And then from that, like I would improvise on one string for a while and then move on to another string and move on to another string. So really you cannot think patterns per se when you're playing scales like that. or improvising like that. If you're just looking at, if you're playing on one string, like it's the whole width, and every string is going to be different. Okay, so that's one way again, and now I will show you. Well, I think this is probably the way that most people know scales, and that is the 2-octave across the neck. So I would encourage you to start with every finger. So I could do that starting with finger 2. Finger 3. Finger 4. Start from the 2nd degree, index. Second finger. Third finger. I always find that third finger one really tricky. Pinky. So again, like I've played in C like millions of times, and I find this challenging. I still have to come back to it. I find it it is good for my brain. It's good for my fingers. It's good for my overall just keeping familiar with where where things are on the neck, basically. All right, and then a bit of diagonal. Okay, so if I did C on 2 strings, so if I did 4 notes on this on the 6th, so I did C, D, E, F. I made a shift, G, A, B, and I shifted back down. Start in the 2nd degree. 4 notes, 4 notes. Starting on the 3rd degree. 4 notes. Oops. Etc. Okay, so let's start on string 3. All right, so this is probably one of the most challenging ones because the strings are not tuned the same when you cross strings 3 and 2. So if I do 4 notes here, the next note is a little bit higher. I have to think about this, and I'm in the key of C. Here's from the 2nd degree. I didn't do that right. Starting on E. Do one more, starting on F. Okay, now I could do 3 octaves. So if I start on C on string 6, there's 1 octave. There's 2 octaves. There's 3 coming down. So again, I'm trying to, at the same time that I'm playing them, I'm trying to like almost say the notes as I'm playing them. And I'm not trying, again, I'm trying not to memorize patterns here. I'm trying to like see the notes. And that is difficult to do. And it almost kind of forces you to slow it down a little bit when you improvise and really think through your note choice. That can be a good thing. That can be maybe a bad thing, but you could think of it like in the progression that I was playing earlier, there are 4 chords and they're all in the key of D flat. So I could just play notes in D flat and just kind of hope for the best. And a lot of people play like that. If you have good ears, you can sort of curate the notes as you go, but you might find that it takes a while to get in the progression. And what I mean by that is you can think of it as well-fitted clothing. There's clothing like I'm not wearing anything like this shirt is kind of more baggy, right? But maybe the jeans are more fitted. So if you're playing like through the chord changes, you're highlighting certain key notes, like maybe the chord tones, the thirds, the fifths, the sevenths, just to make it sound more like you could hear the chord changes. And it's very hard to do that again if you're playing patterns. All right, so I hope you have enjoyed that. And if you have enjoyed that, please subscribe to this channel and feel free to visit my website. I offer guitar lessons live and in person, and it's pretty easy to sign up. Everything's automated, or there's a chat button on the website. You can always hit me up for a chat if you have a question or something, a topic maybe you'd like me to cover. Feel free to drop me a line. So I hope you have a great day.